Welcome back, Huddle Up Podcast. It is the 5 Observations with Big Jim. I am your host, Big Jim, and just want to remind everyone, you can follow me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter, and make sure you are following the show at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, and YouTube.com/@HuddleUpPodcast. So you never miss a minute of the action. And the moment you've all been waiting for, the first set of off-season recordings begins next week. So next Tuesday, closing the month of March, we will have our first set of recordings. I think we're going to be talking about some of the craziness that has been the NFL off-season and the signings and trades and all that stuff. And we're going to get into some other fun episodes as well. So we haven't forgot about you, but make sure you are subscribed to the feed if you have not already. Share the feed and let everybody know that that you enjoy what we do and you think they would do it as well. And we would certainly appreciate that. Sorry I'm getting this to you a little bit late. Normally would have liked to have gotten this out on Saturday or on Sunday, but the weekend got away from me a little bit. But had the opportunity to get in studio and get this episode down here tonight as I am recording. It is Monday, March the 20th. So really getting near the end of March, and we are inching closer and closer to the the NHL and NBA playoffs, as well as opening day for baseball is just a little over a week away. It'll be the NFL draft soon, the XFL playoffs, the USFL will be back. Man, sports really is pumping along as we are going through the late winter and the early spring. So my first observation for this week, wow, the Las Vegas Raiders are just run by absolute idiots. And honestly, I don't even know where to begin. The quarterback situation, you make the decision that it's time to move on from Derek Carr, mutually agreeing to part ways. I'm not sure that I understand how the guy who is arguably the best quarterback in your franchise's history is the problem when you've never really set him up for success. But hey, you want to move on from the guy, that's not the problem. To me, that's not the issue. The issue is you now have downgraded at quarterback by bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo. And I understand that once you were out on the Aaron Rodgers probability, that maybe Garoppolo was the best at what was realistically left. Because what are you going to do? You're going to go get Lamar Jackson? I don't know that he's coming there. I don't know that you're going to match what the Ravens ended up doing. And ultimately, there's part of me that thinks that the Raiders thought that they were going to get Tom Brady for this season. I don't know. I don't know if that's better or worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sure student of the game Kyle Nash, bing, is not going to like that I said that. But I don't. Jimmy Garoppolo's not an upgrade from Derek Carr. I'll leave it at that. And yeah, I guess maybe when you're out of the Rodgers sweepstakes, maybe Garoppolo's your best bet for at least a year or two. But to me, he's a downgrade from Derek Carr. He can't stay healthy. I think he's less mobile. Not that Derek Carr is out there doing Patrick Mahomes things. But I don't see what you're doing. I think you need to have a really good option for your backup quarterback. Because I don't know if Garoppolo can play the whole year. And then you trade away Darren Waller, who I understand you have Devontae Adams. But Darren Waller, when healthy, may be your best receiving option, your most reliable, if nothing else. And he's going to get open in ways that Devontae Adams isn't. Adams is a biggest play guy. Big play potential, but I think Waller is going to be your most reliable catcher. And, Garoppolo has played with Gronk and George Kittle. So the trading away Darren Waller, and I don't know if these reports about McDaniels leaking the Waller wedding is what led to this, but whatever it is, you have made a drastic mistake trading away one of the best tight ends in football. And and not even just from a fantasy football standpoint, but when you are a team that has a Travis Kelce, has a Darren Waller, has a George Kittle, there's only so many of these select best elite tight ends. I don't like the word elite, but elite level, top tier level tight ends. And the Raiders just traded away theirs. It doesn't make sense to me. I think they're absolutely crazy for doing it. And poor Darren Waller having to go live in Daniel Jones's world. Woof. Sorry about that, my guy. And what the Raiders have been doing have almost made me feel better as a Dallas Cowboys fan. More on that later. My second observation for this week, Ayahuasca Rodgers, AR12, QA Ron. Did I hit all the ones, Kyle? I'm sure I'm going to get a text about that one as well. But Aaron Rodgers intends to play for the New York Jets. Look, I said it, I think it was on last week's observations, that if Rodgers ends up with the Jets, I think the Jets become a sneaky, frisky, there you go, EJ, bing, player in the AFC. Now, the key to all of this is the Jets and the Packers still need to come to terms on the trade. Like, Rodgers is not officially a New York Jet. He intends to play there because he hopes that this deal gets finalized, but it's not been finalized yet. So hopefully for the Jets, for Ayahuasca Rodgers, and for Jets fans, this can happen. Because I think if it doesn't end up coming to be, I think he's just going to sail off into a dark room and exist there for the rest of eternity. But the Packers are done with Rodgers. They are looking and committing to Jordan Love, and I think that's probably the best scenario for them. I said it again. I said it last week. With the roster that the Jets have, with the players that are going to be coming back, getting healthy, some of the players they have added, and another year with this coaching staff, I think this team becomes very dangerous. Do they win the AFC? Not going to guarantee it. Not going to lock it up. Do they win the AFC East? Not going to guarantee it, but they certainly can. But I think that comes down to the Buffalo Bills. Can they fix the problems that I said they had all year? Okay. Stole that one from Kyle Nash as well. Got it. The Bills struggled to put teams away. They let teams hang around for too long, and in the long term, it ended up hurting them because they didn't have home field. Not that I don't know that it would have totally made the biggest difference, but they didn't end up with it, and they ended up getting exiled in the postseason. So the Jets absolutely can win the AFC East if Rodgers is under center. And the Jets could absolutely contend for the AFC title with Rodgers under center. I don't like the guy personally, but I'm not going to deny that he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know that I would. You know what? I'm not even going to play around. He would not be in my top 5, but he's in my top 10. He might be in my top 6. But he's still one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and he's going to make a team that was already good better. Even in a challenging AFC, he makes a good team better. The Jets become dangerous with him as long as they stay healthy. My third observation this week, the Dallas Cowboys are moving on without Zeke Elliott. And don't look now, but the Dallas Cowboys are kind of having a good offseason. There, I think I said it hushed enough that not everybody would hear it. But let me go to the Zeke thing. It is the end of an era. It ends a 7-year career in Dallas. One of the most productive backs that the Dallas Cowboys have ever had. but I could not be happier to see Zeke gone. And it's simply because he does not have what he doesn't have the legs to earn what he was getting paid. If he could have restructured his deal, if he would have been willing to really take a big pay cut and not be the getting paid lead back plus money, then I would have had no problem then bringing Zeke back to be Tony Pollard's backup. But he was getting paid way too much money to be old and bigger and slower and to not be the guy that Zeke was. Like, there's a clip, I think it was against the Steelers, and it might have been in his rookie year or his second year, where he breaks a run at the Cowboys' own 40-yard line, and he's in the end zone like before you blink. And those early Zeke years were fantastic. The guy was so good, so fast, so strong. But I remember watching those years and going, man, this guy's not going to have a long shelf life. He's not. He's not going to have a long shelf life because of the way he runs. He ran, kind of reminded me similarly to Adrian Peterson. I thought Adrian Peterson was fast. He could cut, but he also, he ran and he hit people hard when he ran. Peterson defied the laws of physics by the length of career that he had, because I thought he'd be like a 4 or 5 year NFL career guy, and he certainly defied that. Zeke looks cooked at this point. You saw him when Pollard went down in the postseason this year, and there was nothing. There was just nothing for Zeke to do. So I'm happy that this era in Dallas Cowboys football is over, and I'm happy that Tony Pollard's getting his opportunity. Now, it won't be under the franchise tag, and hopefully he'll be healthy and ready to go once this season begins. But he's earned it. He was the Cowboys' best playmaker, maybe sans CD Lamb this entire season. And I argue that he was more crucial to the Cowboys' success because not only was he good out of the backfield, he was a good blocker, but he also was good in the pass game. He was multidimensional, and it gave the Cowboys an element that was almost unstoppable when he was out there and he was doing well. But really now I'm looking at this like with the moves like they have made. Noah Brown is gone. They make a trade for Brandon Cooks today. They have restructured a lot of contracts. There's potential moves to still be made. I'm hoping, I'm putting it out in the universe. Please, sports gods, let the Dallas Cowboys draft Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, in the first round. As Dalton Schultz exits to Houston today. The Cowboys need a big playmaker tight end, and Michael Mayer is just that guy to fill the void. This is now a prove-it year for Dak Prescott. This really now is such a big prove-it year for Mike McCarthy. And I think the usage of Tony Pollard is going to play a big hand into that. But yeah, I mean, for McCarthy and for Dak, I think you're starting to run out of excuses. I was talking to a couple friends of mine today that I like the moves the Cowboys have made. They bring in Stephon Gilmore, who had a great year last year in Indy. The Cowboys are getting better in positions. I hope they have a good draft. Look, I'm not saying they're ready to contend to knock Philly off their perch or to contend for the NFC. But I like the moves they've made so far in the offseason. My fourth observation this week, I am done with this Washington Capitals coaching staff. This season has been just an utter failure and disappointment. Look, I know the injury woes and the personnel woes and all of that this team has faced has been greater than any team in the NHL, and that's not debatable. But this team at times have looked like they have quit. Like they don't care, like they don't want to be there. And to me, that starts with coaching. You can have bad teams, you can have bad seasons, you can have bad situations, and guys still want to be there. Guys still want to put it out there. for themselves, for their teammates, for their fans. And there's been a lot of times, especially recently, this Capitals team has not been that. I don't know that this Capitals front office is going to do it right now. They have said they're not going to totally rebuild as long as Alex Ovechkin is there and is chasing Wayne Gretzky. Side note, Alex Ovechkin had goal number 819 yesterday, so his quest for 894 is getting there. But I don't think bringing in a new coach is necessarily going to derail Alex Ovechkin in this Capitals team, especially because I think there's a guy, Todd Nelson, who's coaching the AHL farm team of the Capitals, the Hershey Bears, that has a fresh mindset that I think can get a lot out of the Capitals. I just think it's time for a fresh start. It's time for a fresh approach. What's been in Washington for the last few years, I just don't think is working anymore. And lastly, being a loyal sports fan, particularly that of a specific team, like if you are just a football fan, a basketball fan, a baseball fan, a soccer fan, a rugby fan, a curling fan, I don't think that this particular observation, this particular feeling applies to you. Doesn't mean you're a bad sports fan. It doesn't mean that you're any less. But I'm saying to be a loyal fan of a team can be challenging. And man, I've been tested this year. It is tougher when your team suck. Being a two. And it's not that I don't love my teams. It's not that I don't love the Capitals. It's not that I don't love the Cowboys. It's not that I don't love Notre Dame, although Notre Dame had a really strong finish. All three of those seasons were disappointing this year, without question. The only team in the last calendar year that has not disappointed me is my Baltimore Orioles. How crazy is that? I just recorded a spot tonight with the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast. If you're not following them, please check them out. If you enjoy the game of baseball, but we previewed the AL East. And the Orioles were plus 31 in the win column from 2021 to 2022. They're the only one of my favorite teams who has not disappointed me in the last calendar year. So it's hard, man. And I mean, my entire life. I mean, the Orioles have not won a World Series since before I was born. Notre Dame has not won a national championship since I was 3 years old. The Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since I was 10. The only team that has won a championship in my adult lifetime is the Washington Capitals. Stanley Cup champions 2018. This will be 5 years since that has happened. They're not winning it this year, so you might as well start looking to year 6. So it's tough. I'm not going to lie. Like when you're evaluating, like, do I sit and dedicate like this time, this block of time? And it's probably more for baseball, for basketball, and for hockey than it is for football, because football, I'm watching football all Sunday, all Saturday for college. But for these other sports, hockey plays 82 games. Baseball plays 162 games. If I'm going to dedicate myself to being a committed viewer of that team, it's harder when they suck. Like, am I going to watch this movie that I wanted to watch on Netflix tonight, or am I going to watch the Capitals? Am I going to get caught up on stuff on DVR, or am I going to watch the Capitals? Am I going to record a podcast, or am I going to watch the Capitals? Am I going to go to dinner with friends, or am I going to watch the Capitals? I'll be honest. This year, there has been more instances when I've taken option A, which is everything else, over option B, which is watch the Capitals. I couldn't tell you the last time that happened, because the Capitals have been must-see TV for the last few seasons. Even though they've been first-round exits since the Stanley Cup championship, they've been must-see TV because they've been competitive. They've been good. Like your team being better makes them earn the spot on that must-watch category to get that portion of your life, to get that portion of your attention. If they're not good, I'm not going to dedicate myself as hard. It's just that it doesn't mean I love them less. It just means my priorities shift. And I hope it gets better. And that's the thing. There's always hope, right? There's always a next season. There's always if they get into the playoffs, maybe lightning strikes. But hey, the Cowboys disappointed me. Notre Dame overall disappointed me. There's always next year. The Capitals have like a less than 1% chance of making the playoffs. There's always next year, right? That's the beauty of a sports fan, is you can close the book on one season and start writing the next one. But that's going to wrap it up for me this week on the observations. Make sure you are following me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter, but at Huddle Up Podcast across all social media platforms, on all podcast platforms, YouTube as well. Hit the link tree in all of our social media to get everywhere you need to be Huddle Up related. Get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. And until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win.